Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Monday. Hopefully, you guys are all doing well. Good to see you in here, Tim. Give me 1 second while I get this loaded up, and then we will get going. Thanks for joining. So let me see. But I don't know where you guys are at in the country. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. We actually had a really nice weekend where I'm at, and the weather was phenomenal. So kind of the last grasp of great weather before some of the colder weather hits. So hopefully you guys got a chance to enjoy that. But I think I got everybody pinged in. So hopefully that works. But anyway, let's go ahead and get going. As always, if you are new to watching Marketing Mondays, we actually answer questions, any questions that come in marketing related. Basically, go ahead and put those in the comments and we will answer them. If you have a question today, you can do that. We also have questions that came in through the week, but we will always give a priority to the questions that come in live. So if you have a question or if you have a clarification to an answer that I've given, go ahead and put it in the comments and I will make sure I get to those. We always give a priority to the ones that come in live. So thank you guys for joining, and we're going to go ahead and get started. But you don't have to wait for me to be done with a question or anything like that. If you have a question, just go ahead and throw it in the comments. I will see it on the right-hand side of my screen, and we will answer that at the next, when we get to the end of one question and go to another. So good to see you, Dylan, Christy. Thanks for joining. So the first question that comes in is, how much time is appropriate to give my marketing company to begin seeing results? So it's a great question. Obviously, everybody wants to know, like, okay, what is going to be like, what is going to be the time frame? Like, how much money am I going to have to invest before I start getting good results? And that's a fair question. The question, though, really should be brought back to, like, what exactly are you doing, or what's your goal? Like, are you trying to drive more leads? Are you trying to drive more customer awareness? Are you trying to build your social profile? What are you trying to do? What is your success metric, if you will? Like, what would you consider success? Now, with social media, the nice thing is, with regard to generating leads, if you're paying for advertising and you generate an ad and you put it out there, you may not have to wait long at all. You could generate an ad, and as soon as that gets approved, you can start getting results coming in. You can get messages, you get leads coming in right away. If you're looking to build your social profile, i.e. get likes to your page or get more people engaged with your page, that may take a little bit longer. You may have to engage for a period of time to start generating some content that people want to follow so that they follow your page. If it's things like generating traffic to your website, the type of content you're going to generate, again, if you're using ads to put it in front of people, if it's good content, you should start to see traffic increasing to your website. So again, when you start talking about how long it should take, if you're talking about paid advertising, whether that's social media or Google AdWords, you should start to see some activity relatively quick. With Google AdWords, I'll touch on that because I mentioned it here a second ago. With Google AdWords, again, you're starting to pay to come up for search results or search keywords or things of that nature. So if you're coming up, there's always some tweaking with regard to AdWords that goes on an ongoing basis. But versus you not doing anything with AdWords and beginning to do AdWords advertising, you should start to see an increase or more activity when you're paying to do AdWords. So back to this question, how much time is appropriate to give my marketing company time to begin showing results? Again, it depends on what the results are, but you shouldn't have to wait. One of the things I always talk to clients or prospective clients about is a lot of them start working with a particular agency or something like that, and they're told, hey, it's going to take some time, 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever the case may be, to start seeing results. And I always ask them, what are they trying to achieve? Now, again, taking a quick step back, if what you're paying somebody to do is generate SEO, in order to get your search results to come up better organically or for free, it may take a little bit of time for them to integrate the actual SEO into your website, both on-site SEO and off-site SEO. Submit that to Google, it'll be crawled, and then to start seeing those results begin to happen. So that could take a little bit of time to start getting you to the results that you want. However, one of the things I've always said to people that you want to try to do is track those results. So let's say you're starting today. What are the results you're getting in search results now? Like, pick out 10 keywords that you want to come up for and decide, okay, where do I come up today? Do I come up the middle of page 3? Do I come up the bottom of page 2? Do I come up the middle of page 1? Where do I come up today for these search terms that I want to come up for? And then after a month, check those search results again and see if you're making progress. Now, SEO is not going to happen overnight, no matter how good the agency is. They're not going to be able to get you overnight results. However, what you should be able to do by tracking those results is you should start to see an improvement. You should come up from the middle of page 2 to maybe the top of page 2 after a couple weeks or a month, or maybe the bottom of page 1. What you should start to see is that things are moving in the right direction, though. So although it may take some time, it shouldn't take time for you to start seeing some improvement. So it's not going to all of a sudden take 6 months and there's no improvement, and then overnight you're going to get the results you want. Over the course of that 6 months, you should see a steady improvement to get you to where you want to be. So if you have a company that's saying it's going to take 6 months or 8 months, they should be able to back that up with showing that your things are moving in the positive direction, and you shouldn't just have to wait 6 to 8 months to see any results. So hopefully that helps with that question. I think I got another question that just came in. Any good sites or ways to check how a website is ranking? Incognito mode only does so much. So Dylan, you definitely can check, what you meant to, I think, say there is incognito mode. So in all browsers, you have the ability to look at search results in a way that doesn't, that takes away any cookies, location services, anything like that. It looks at the search results in a raw way, so you can truly see what you're getting for search results. Now, Dylan, what I would say, if you have a keyword strategy and you know the keywords you're trying to come up for, I actually think searching in incognito mode is a good way to go about seeing how you're coming up, because it shows you true results. There are some tools out there that you can use to check how you're coming up. But again, I always like to use incognito mode to do spot checks, just because I think it gives you true results. But if you Google search, there's a lot of different tools out there. However, a lot of the tools that are out there, they're trying to sell you SEO services. So I'm always a little bit skeptical of companies that are trying to sell you on an SEO service that are going to do an SEO report for you, because they sort of have a little bit of a vested interest in telling you that your SEO isn't performing well, because they're trying to then turn around and say, but we can help you with getting better SEO. So I like using incognito search results to check the keywords that you want to come up with and see how you're coming up for those. Those are true results and they're not being gamed. I'm always a little bit suspicious of some of the tools, unless you can find a tool that's genuinely maybe a paid tool that isn't trying to sell you any SEO services. Then you may be able to trust the results you're getting. But there's not really a tool that I would recommend that's just like, hey, go to this tool and it's going to give you great results. So sorry, I can't give you a little bit better answer on that, Dylan, but I think if you're using incognito mode, that gives you a good start to at least be spot checking your main keywords that you want to come up for. So with that being said, if there's no other questions, I will jump into question number 2 that came in during this week. So question number 2 is with regard to backlinks to your website. Now, let me quickly explain as we go into the backlinks. Backlinks are a way to build SEO. One of the things Google looks for about a website when it's percolating it up for better SEO results, or is that website considered authoritative, or is it considered a good source of information? And one of the ways that they measure that is whether other websites are linking back to that website for information on that website. Those are called backlinks. So a backlink is another website in the entire World Wide Web, if you want to use that term, that actually has a link that links back to your website. Now, this is saying what are backlinks and are there good and bad forms of backlinks? There are good and bad forms of backlinks. Google started utilizing backlinks as a measuring indicator in their algorithm years ago. And what a lot of people that were in the SEO industry realized is if we could just build as many backlinks as possible, that's going to be good for SEO. And it was for a period of time. If you could just build tons of backlinks, your website quickly shot up to the top of search rankings because Google was seeing all these backlinks. But Google's got a lot smarter since then. And one of the things that they've looked at is whether these are relevant backlinks. So it's not so much that you just have a backlink to your website. Is that website that's giving you the backlink relevant? Because what a lot of these companies were doing was there were companies that grew into existence that just would generate backlinks that had no relevance to your business at all, but it was a backlink to your website. And that actually Google started looking at that and saying, not only aren't we going to give that a positive bump for having that backlink, we could actually maybe even make it a negative bump because that's not a relevant backlink and we actually feel like you're trying to game the system. So backlinks are good, but what are good backlinks? I think I've kind of touched on what bad links are. It's just paying for backlinks that aren't relevant to your website. On the converse, good backlinks are backlinks from companies that are relevant to your website. Maybe a backlink from your manufacturer's website to your website, like at a dealer locator or something like that, or an industry organization that you're a part of, the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce, localized business listings that are in your area where you can get your business listed for free on some of these localized business listings. Those are all relevant and legitimate backlinks, and you want to utilize those as much as you possibly can. Google business listings, things like that. Those are all going to be relevant backlinks. So if you have the opportunity to get on your, Better Business Bureau website, your, Chamber of Commerce, your community website, anything like that you could get a backlink on, I would encourage you to do that. And I think it would be good for your website SEO. I would discourage you from going out and doing any paid services to build backlinks that aren't necessarily relevant to your industry. So, make sure if your manufacturer has a dealer locator that you're listed there. If there's any industry organizations that you're involved with that have dealer locators, those are good places to have your company listed with a backlink to your website. Also, make sure those backlinks are done in an appropriate way to where there's two different ways you can do backlinks. One is going to give you credit and one is going to not. So I would ask those, you want backlinks that are follow backlinks to where it gives you full credit, like that backlink. And again, I could probably go into this a little bit deeper in another session. But again, those type of backlinks are definitely going to help your SEO. I think if you can get those type of backlinks, it's going to be something you should pursue. Just don't go with some paid service that says, hey, we're going to get you 1,000 backlinks. That's typically not only not going to help you, but potentially could even hurt you with regard to SEO. So that being said, I've got some more questions here, so I'm going to jump right in because we're taking up some time. But if you have any questions, as I mentioned, go ahead, put those in and we will get to those. This next question is a really good one and one that actually just came up this last week when I was talking to a client. Does the design of my website impact SEO? The short answer to that is absolutely yes. And I'm going to go into a couple of different areas where the design of your website does have an impact on the SEO of your website. First and foremost, let's talk about mobile, like this old thing. Hopefully you're already taking advantages, but your website needs to be mobile friendly or mobile compliant. Your website should be such that when you look at it on a mobile device, it displays properly and it's not cutting off text. It doesn't look all messed up. By some reports, over 80% of all website traffic in 2022 is happening on mobile devices. So if your website isn't displaying properly on a mobile device, a phone or a tablet, that's going to give a really bad user experience. Now, let me explain something to you about Google. Google really wants the people that utilize the platform to have a good user experience when they percolate up a search result and say, hey, you're looking for this. Here's a website that has that. One of the things Google really wants is that website is going to give the information that person's looking for and that there's going to be a good user experience. So user experience comes into play with regard to this SEO. Now, where that comes into play with regard to website design is if your website is not working well on mobile devices, Google is going to read that as not being a user-friendly site. For 80% of the traffic that's happening online, they're going to say this is not going to produce a good user-friendly result. So that's going to be a negative impact to your SEO because Google is going to read that as if they send somebody there, that person might not get a good user experience. Another thing that could play into website design is if your website has a lot of large files, pictures, videos, things like that, that cause your website to operate slow, then Google is going to look at that as being a negative user experience. So if somebody's trying to go onto your website via mobile or desktop and it's responding very slowly, that's going to be a negative indicator, and Google is going to actually suppress your search results because it's going to say that your website's not giving a good user experience. So these are a couple of the different things that you want to look at with regard to user experience and website design. The other thing you want to look at is, definitely things as far as the navigation of the website. Is it easy to get to the information you want, or is it very complicated? One of the things Google looks at is a metric called bounce rate. And what bounce rate means is that somebody arrives to your website and then ends up leaving the website from the same page that they arrived at. So they got there, maybe they didn't see what they were looking for, or it was too confusing, so they went ahead and left the website. That's called bounce rate. If your bounce rate is too high, Google views that as that they're sending people to your website and the people are not finding what they're looking for, so they're leaving. So what Google looks for is people going to your website and then navigating to other pages as being a good sign that the website's easily navigatable and they're able to find the information that they want. There's I talked about in the last episode, a big Google algorithm change. It's like for helpful information. And what Google's really looking for right now with regard to search results is that people, when they percolate somebody up in the search results, that those people are going to find the information that they're looking for. So they're going to look at all these different metrics as a way to determine whether those search results that they're putting up there are delivering on that promise of giving you information that's going to answer the question or the information you're looking for. If that's not happening, Google is going to start driving your results down because they don't view your website as being a good answer to those questions. So I hope that makes sense with regard to what I'm saying there. There's a lot of different things involved, but when it comes to the question of does your website design impact SEO, the answer is absolutely yes, and in a variety of different ways. The issue I brought up last week that I said I talked to a client, their website had a lot of good SEO on it, but it was not mobile compliant. It was not mobile friendly. And I said, no matter what you do on the rest of the website, until we get this mobile thing figured out and set up properly, it's going to negatively impact your SEO because Google's going to look at that as a major contributor to whether your website is user friendly. So it's not like one thing. It's kind of doing a variety of different things. The speed of your website, mobile friendly, whether your website is easy to navigate, whether it gives people the information they came looking for, whether it's easy to find that information. Those are all things that are going to help your SEO, all part of your website design, all things that you need to think about as you're laying out your website or redesigning your website. Let's see. Carlita says, has a question. What are some of the new changes Google is doing that we need to pay attention to? Actually, I just mentioned some of them, Carlitos. Thank you for the question. Some of the things that Google's doing is they're really putting an emphasis on the information on the website being helpful. They want to deliver when they put somebody up in the search results. They want to make sure that person's finding the information they're looking for. They're using artificial intelligence computers, Google is, AI, to essentially read your website. And they're looking for things like website pages that are built that are what we would call keyword stuffed. Like they're really not that informative. They're just designed to basically use a keyword or keywords a bunch of times to try to game the system with regard to SEO. They're looking for you to have good quality content on your website that answers questions and that is informative to the people that are visiting your website. They are using artificial intelligence to actually read your website, and they can determine whether it's helpful information or if it's spammy information. So if you're putting spammy information up on your website just to try to like come up for a specific search term, it's probably going to end up hurting you more than helping you. You'd be much better off to try to create a quality piece of content that utilizes that keyword or key phrase, answers some questions, or is informative about that. That's going to help you with Google. That is one of the huge updates Google's just made. They just launched that at the end of August 2022, and it began rolling out through the month of September, and it's continuing to roll out, is that they are looking for websites that are just creating pages that are designed to be SEO specific, but they're not really that informative or not really that helpful to the people visiting the websites. And if you have those on your website, they could actually hurt your website. So be aware of that. Thanks for the question, Carlitos. Okay, moving right along, we got another question here asking me to explain keyword research. So first of all, if you're not informed with keyword research, there's a really helpful free tool that Google gives you that's a keyword research tool. Just actually go to your Google search engine and type in Google keyword research tool, log into your Google account, and you can use this tool for free. It's going to ask you to type in either a keyword you're trying to come up with or a website URL that you're trying to come up good for SEO. And it's going to tell you the keywords and the search traffic associated with those keywords. So I do a lot of work for people in the window film industry. So let me explain. Like in the window film industry, we utilize the term window film quite a bit. However, what you'll find if you do keyword research is that window film is not a very highly searched term. Window tint is a much higher search term, or window tinting is a much higher search term. So what you want to do with keyword research is figure out what type of keywords you're trying to come up with, but then you want to go into Google and figure out which of these keywords are actually getting traffic, because it does you no good to set your website up and all the SEO on your website to come up for keywords that nobody's searching for. So you could set up a page, do all the different things to make sure that page is perfectly optimized for a keyword, but if nobody's searching for that keyword, it doesn't do you a whole lot of good. So you want to set your website up to be for the search terms that people are that have a high search volume, that you have the better chance of coming up for in your particular area for the searches people are actually doing. Again, that's where keyword research comes in. Again, you'd have to get in and use this tool. The good thing is it's a free tool. It's really easy to use. Again, Google's keyword research tool. Log into that and type in some different things. And I think you might be surprised when it shows you what the search volume is on those particular keywords. And it may change the way that you do the SEO or the type of wording you use in your content to align with where people are at, what people are actually searching in Google. Because what you want to do is you want to utilize words that people are actually typing into Google when they're doing search. That's going to help your website have better SEO. It's going to help your website come up for those particular searches versus using a keyword or key phrases that may be industry vernacular that the actual people that you're trying to reach aren't really using. So I hope that answers that question. Keyword research is really important. I think, if you're building a new website and you're not using a company that is doing the keyword research for you, it really pays dividends to spend a little bit of time figuring out how you want to optimize those pages to come up as well as possible. So with that, we've got some more time. So we've got more questions here. This is a good one. What is thin content, quote unquote, thin content, and how do I avoid this? One of the things we've talked a lot today that I feel like this entire episode's been a lot about Google. One of the things Google frowns upon is what they call thin content. And that's content that doesn't have a lot of meat and potatoes, for lack of a better term. Say you're trying to come up for specific keywords or key phrases and you just create like a blog post on your website that just has a couple of sentences. It doesn't have a handful of paragraphs or anything. It just has a couple of sentences that, and then you're trying to put that out there as a piece of content. If there's not a lot of information, it's not really informative and it's not written in such a way that a reader would get some valuable information or, from that piece of content, Google's going to view it as thin content. It's going to view it as you trying to game the system in order to try to come up for SEO. And again, increasingly, when Google sees this, it can actually hurt your SEO rankings, not help your SEO rankings. So thin content, if you want some like metrics to think about, like what exactly would constitute thin content, one of the things we shoot for internally is that all content that we write, like a blog article or a portfolio piece or things like that, are over 300 words in length. So, that's typically going to be a handful of paragraphs. You're going to have an intro paragraph. You're going to have a paragraph that really talks about the main meat and potatoes. And then you're going to have, a conclusion that probably gives contact information for your company and things like that. But be thinking about it along the lines of 300 words of content. That's kind of what we look at as the basement for not falling into thin content. We want all the content we generate online for our clients to be at least 300 words or longer, and we want it to be informative. We want it that if you actually read the content, that you would learn something during that content, that it's not just, I don't want to say gibberish because a lot of people don't just put gibberish, but my point is that it's not just a bunch of sentences linked together to try to stuff it with keywords that don't make a whole lot of sense when read together. You want to have 300 words and you want to have a natural structure like we learned back in school, like an introduction, then the meat and potatoes of the content, and then a conclusion of the content, and it'd be 300 words. I think if you follow that type of structure, you're going to be building decent content on your website that's going to be optimized for the right type of keywords if you've done the keyword research like we talked about in the last question. So hopefully, again, thin content is really one of those things where people try to generate a lot of different pages on their website in an effort that they think is going to help their SEO, and they can actually end up hurting their SEO. So avoid that thin content. Shoot for 300 words or more. 300 to 600 words is a good sweet spot for that, the amount of content. Got one more question here. I think we got time to grab it. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see on social media regarding business marketing? Number one, biggest mistake that I would say I see on social media is lack of consistency. Somebody might post some pictures for a couple weeks and then 3 months go by, they get busy at work and nothing gets posted. I think you want to, rather than go like post things in a flurry to where all of a sudden there's a ton of posts and then you get busy and there's no posts, I would try to encourage you to carve aside a little bit of time each week, whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, and be consistent in your posting. I would rather see you posting once a week than to post all of a sudden where you have 5 posts in a week and then you don't post anything for 2 weeks. I'd rather see you posting once or twice a week, and be consistent about it. That's one of the big things I see. The other negative thing I see is where people are, for lack of a better term, they're going right to the asks. Rather than posting content that would be informative or entertaining or educational, the only content that they ever post is a sale or what we would call a right hook, an ask. You're asking them to do something. You're asking them to leave you a review or to use a coupon code or to take advantage of this sale. I think you want to mix content in with helpful content, informative content, educational content, and then you kind of earn the right to run a sale, some sale content or an ask content. I think a big mistake I see people doing is every piece of content is an ask. And people start tuning you out because they're like, man, all these people are ever doing is like running a sale or asking me to do something or whatever. So try to mix it up a little bit. Post things about projects you're working on or things that are happening at the company or shop or things like that, instead of just always asking for, hey, we're running a sale this week, or check out this, or do. I think you know what I'm talking about, and we see it every day. If you go on social media, you see those posts that are consistently, it's just an ask, one ask right after another, and I think people start tuning you out. So one of the bigger mistakes I see is going to the well too many times with the ask and not putting some great quality content in between, and inconsistency of posting. So you put those two things together and I'm not seeing any posts from you, and then the next post I see from you is an ask. It's a sale. It's just a bad taste in people's mouths. I think you want to mix it up. You want to be consistent with your content, and you want to limit the number of times you do the ask to being an occasional post, not an every time post. So hopefully that helps with regard to that. I think I have one. So Dylan, yeah, we are. The only thing is with regard to clients, we never work with two clients in the same industry, in the same marketplace. So obviously we can't do marketing for two clients that are competing with each other. So the only restrictions of whether we would be taking on a new client would be if we're already working with a client in that marketplace, in that industry. If we're not, then we are still taking on clients. So hopefully that helps. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you found some, some interesting information, some information you maybe didn't know, some information that helps you do a little bit better marketing this week. Also, just so you guys know, if you search for me on YouTube, just search for Patric Fransco on YouTube. My channel there is taking all these individual Marketing Mondays and breaking them down into individual questions. So there's dozens and dozens of 5 to 6 minute questions being answered there. So if you haven't seen your question being answered and you want to go there and just check out what's already been answered, if you go there, you're going to see dozens and dozens of video on, just search for me on YouTube, Patric Fransco. You'll see my channel and you'll see just dozens and dozens of these type of videos, but they're all broken up for the individual questions. So you don't have to listen to 30 minutes hoping that a question that you haven't, that you want answered to comes up. You're going to be able to search by the title and figure out whether there's questions you want to listen to or not. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you guys have a terrific week. We're heading into the last week of October, and hopefully you guys are having a great October. And thank you again for taking the time on a Monday morning to tune in. We'll see you soon. Take care.